The political panel all stars up shortly, whānau, but now this extra's 1-on-1 and 10 with Massey University economist Professor Matt Roskruge on the impact of the failing economy on Māori. Kia ora, comrade. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being available to the Fourth Estate. Your democracy is grateful.
Yeah, kia ora, Bomber. Thanks for putting up with me.
Always. What do you make of Bernard Hickey's argument that austerity can't work because private debt is too high? Now, I accept Cameron Baggery's point that the government is borrowing more, but they're borrowing more while hollowing out all those public service budgets.
Yeah, look, I mean, you only have to walk around Wellington at the moment if you're lucky enough to get there. Things are really tough in the public service, and you're seeing that flowing on to businesses closing. Like you said before, 71% increase in liquidations. It is really tough out there, and austerity right at this moment, I think, is just hammering. The regions were already doing it tough. Now we're starting to see the urban centres really get hammered by that withdrawal of funding. And it's at a time when our infrastructure is really crumbling. Things need investment, genuinely need investment for us to have this infrastructure still functioning in 10, 20, 30 years, or resilient to the next earthquake, or resilient to the next storm. And at the time when we need money going into that infrastructure, there's a good business case to be spending. You've got a political party saying, actually, no, we're gonna not spend right now. We're not going to worry about fixing up that infrastructure. In fact, we might just hold off on having the expertise or the crews out there doing the work. Yeah, so I mean, to me, it seems like, you know, you keep borrowing capacity, you keep money back for a rainy day. It's a rainy day now, and we need that money spent for our infrastructure to be able to cope. Yeah, it's beyond me why it's not getting spent.
Unemployment is 5.6%, but 11.5% for Māori, 11.9% for Pacifica, and 25% for our 15 to 19-year-olds. 51% of Māori households are going without enough to eat, and 860 New Zealanders are considered poor. The government promised growth. Where is it?
Yes, look, so we're certainly not feeling it. And I think they're starting to create a new message around, hey, there's going to be growth in the next term. And we're not seeing a pathway yet to that growth. It might be there, it might be achievable, but we're not seeing the pathway for it to be to come through. To be fair, I don't think any political party is really communicating how they're going to grow us through what is looking like increasingly turbulent global economies. We're incredibly lucky that food and fiber is going really well. We're lucky that, you know, US beef herds are down, that Ukraine war is causing all of this drama in the supply chains. And our dairy and our beef is worth, and our lamb is worth a hell of a lot. Doesn't feel lucky when you go into the supermarket and look at a leg of lamb for $90.
Oh, no.
No. But that's what's keeping the economy afloat, is that food and fiber. I don't think that we should be relying just on that luck as a growth strategy. We need to be talking about, well, what else? How are we going to utilize? I mean, massive underutilization rates among Māori. I think it was something like 23% of Māori in work had less work than they wanted. I can't remember what the generic rate was, to be honest. I was only looking at Māori. But, you know, we've got an economy that we're not using all of our resources. People are feeling like there's no pathway out of this cost of living trap. Yeah. Everybody's feeling a bit nihilist after COVID-19 too, if you haven't noticed. And there doesn't seem to be a plan to turn it around.
The Prime Minister lectured the Rotorua Business Association about a child-parent relationship, but doesn't the government have a role to play in creating the environment in which business can flourish? And that means effective social policies alongside an actual economic plan. This government demolished Labour's infrastructure pipeline that saw tens of thousands of construction workers leave for Australia. If it is a child-parent relationship, isn't National a bad parent?
You'd have to wonder. I mean, businesses require social and physical infrastructure to do their jobs, and digital increasingly. And we've seen, as you say, for the last political term, the government really pull the foot off the gas and, in fact, put it on the brake around social policy. And so, yeah, you'd have to think that, I think it's a fair characterization, that if you're talking about a parent-child relationship, or another way to word it is the state's supposed to coordinate, right? It's one of the best things the state can do is help to coordinate everyday economy, conduct it, get things flowing. And instead it feels like we're getting sort of ad hoc, short-term, reactionary policies with three different parties sort of steering it in three different directions. And they can't set the sort of the rules of engagement. They can't coordinate the symphony, and the economy's starting to really suffer, and businesses are really suffering because they really don't know what the future looks like. They don't know where the funding's going to come from, if there's going to be enough employment around for the people to buy their stuff.
You have Māori negatively impacted economically, socially, and now their political rights are under attack. Why has this government ignored their own voices, like Doug Graham, like John Key, like Chris Finlayson, in favour of a far more race-baiting policy platform?
Oh, your guess is probably better than mine. It surprised me, and I think it surprised a lot of people. In the last election, I think people thought, oh, you're getting another centrist government just with a slightly different colour on the flag. And they've been blindsided by the pullback, the minimisation, the what would you call it? The negative impact anyway on the Māori economy, and how much that's really hurt whānau Māori and interrupted those. You had iwi that were starting to, or that are starting to build global businesses and create real impact for the regions, which the whenua that they're looking after is in. The whenua can't go anywhere. The money ain't going anywhere from iwi. And if you got a government that is really interested in regional development, you would think boosting iwi, boosting the Māori economy is the way to get the regions growing.
Right.
But no, this doesn't seem to be.
The green wealth tax has been criticised by Treasury, who claim the mega wealthy will leave New Zealand and will get less revenue. Why can't we put an exit tax on and all wealth to avoid capital flight the way a dozen other countries have?
Yeah, look, I mean, one thing I think is clear is that we probably do need to look seriously at where we're going to raise taxes from, and it doesn't have to be on labour. There are lots of really interesting ideas like yours, and I'm sure you've got others for where we could be raising taxes.
Oh, I've got
and not
so
hurt
many
people's
ideas,
pockets.
Matt, so many ideas.
But when you look at our infrastructure, when you look at trying to afford an aging population and all the other challenges that we're facing, we need more money coming in the door to deliver our social services.
Right.
If we want real universal healthcare, we need the money coming in the door, and we need to get really creative about that. And the rich, I mean, people love New Zealand. They genuinely love New Zealand. They want to be here. They want to live here. We're a stable democracy, a long way from the troubles of the world. The climate's beautiful.
Where else can Peter Thiel get a bunker?
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe we should go into the bunker
tax. A bunker tax.
Yeah.
Finally, comrade, what happens? What happens if National Act in New Zealand first actually get back into power?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's for the Māori economy, that would have to be up around the worst case scenario at this stage. You're probably looking at a weaker National on the numbers that we've been seeing, and stronger coalition partners. And we've seen a strongish National really struggling to be visible in its coalition as it is. How that's going to look in the next one, and the impact on the Māori economy from another 3 years of being marginalised, finding even like amazing industries like Māori media, like Wātea, just devastated under this government. And it created such an important social service and great source of employment, launched some amazing careers.
Thank you, Professor, for sharing your insight and oversight this evening. We will get you back on before the end of the year.
Thank you, mate.
Be well.
Take care.